Welcome to episode 24 of Randall Vision. I am your host, Randall. Today's topic is Pascal's wager. Yep, I'd take that bet. Remember, you're a sovereign individual. Do what thou wilt. Just kidding. I have a little more to say on it than that, but not much. And we'll try not to step on too many future topics on this little ramble here. I had to do a little refresh. I took a look at the Wikipedia entry for Pascal's wager just to verify how unqualified or my lack of qualifications to speak on the topic, and it's true. This is not something that I'm qualified to talk on because I didn't read all of his words, so I don't know. But the gist of it, for those who don't know, Blaise Pascal, back in I believe it was the 17th century, in a posthumously published work, discussed a thought experiment where on the one hand, you can believe in God, and on the other hand, you could not believe in God. And you have to choose, because that's how his thought experiment works, and why you should consider either choice. And what his argument boiled down to was, even if it's vanishingly small of a chance that God exists, to believe in I believe he's talking about the Catholic God, that the rewards would be, eternal bliss or whatever, and to not believe you would miss out on that opportunity. So, in spite of evidence, he concluded that it would be rational or logical to believe in God. So, to pick this apart a little bit, one thing, I'm not sure if I've discussed this yet, I don't like the word God. That in Judaism, they use the four letters, and we attempt to pronounce them as Yahweh, and those translate to He who cannot be named, because it is a fool's errand to attempt to ascribe a word to God. So, different cultures use different words. Christianity, obviously, with their term God. In Islam, they refer to it as Allah. I don't know enough about the Eastern traditions to speculate what their top names. I believe in at least one of the branches of Hinduism that they would refer to as Brahman, that Brahman's like the top of their gods. But the thing that's being described is ineffable, so ascribing a word to it, you have failed before you have started. And I get that we ascribe the word so that we could discuss the topic. So that makes sense, but I don't think that any word could quite be ascribed to whatever it is that they're trying to refer to. So right out of the gate, yeah, I don't like the question because it uses the word God. And then two, how narrow the question is of like, Here's the reason to believe in the Catholic God, that like it's such a narrow view that I don't know. Do people do that? Do you you're brought up in a religion and then that's the only religion that exists for you until you die, and then you spend no time learning about any of the other ones? Now I get it. Like if you were like a serf in the Middle Ages, you probably would not have heard of other religions, so you get a pass. But in our day and age, we're like well aware that there are multiple religions, and it's probably useful to take a peek at more than one. Now back to Pascal's wager. One comment that I saw of his on the question was that he had seen enough evidence to strongly suspect the existence of God, yet he had not seen any evidence that could confirm the existence of God. And I think that's true for many people. So my experience deviates here, where the things that I've seen don't leave as much room for skepticism whenever it comes to belief in a deity. When I was young, I was raised Catholic, and I prayed and went to church and all of that and was confirmed. But I think even before being confirmed, I may have already lost my belief in God. I'm not sure at what age I became an atheist. I'm sure I would have had to learn the word first. But, the more I learned about science, and the less I believed in God. And there's two stories that I want to recount that kind of like were some of the opening experiences that restored my faith or belief in a God. And I'm not sure which order these happened in, but I'm going to assume that this one happened first, where, I think I started taking acid when I was like 16. So somewhere in the following years, I remember being at home in my bedroom. It was late at night, and it was probably winding down off of a trip, and sitting on the edge of my bed, and out of nowhere, this thought or something, it was communicating with me, but not using words, but then like that translate into words in my mind. And it had me look down at the coffee table and see a rusty razor blade. And it was like, it wanted me to kneel down and apologize for not believing in God. And I'm like, what? Also, looking at the razor blade, there was a line, the very last line of the song Suicide by Choking Victim, is "Do It, Kill Yourself." And in those words, like the words from the track ran through my mind. And I was like, no, I don't want to kill myself. Why would I kill myself? And it repeated the command of like, you kneel down and apologize for not believing in God. And I'm not sure how many times we went back and forth, but like, even an atheist, if you are presented with that situation, would you slit your own wrists to to stick to your guns and deny the existence of a God? Or would you just kneel down and apologize whether it was sincere or not? And I knelt down and I apologized, and I don't know who or what I was talking to, and I can't recall clearly what level of sincerity I had, but that shit happened, and that was fucking weird. And I was still at the point in my life where things like that could be dismissed by the fact, like, hey dude, you were on a psychedelic chemical that really alters your mind and perception, and those were probably just weird thoughts, and you could blame it on the drugs. There still is no God. So whether or not I went back to, this is long enough ago, like 20 years ago, that I can't recall precisely how I felt about the situation, but I remember that it happened, and that, it was weird. Now, a lighter version of that is, I'm pretty sure I've made mention about how Papa Taylor from community college gave me a copy of one of his of the Tao Te Ching from one that he had inherited from one of his deceased colleagues, and I took that book and I read it, and reading it was miraculous. That each page or each chapter, whatever, each entry, I would read it, and then like within moments or a day, something would like manifest to like exemplify the passage. That reading that book was, in hindsight, miraculous, and I remember being awestruck as I read it. But the most revelatory moment was at the end, around passage 100 or something, if they even go that high. It used the word God, and my jaw dropped. I was like, man, up until this point, I believed in everything, and that, like, it was obvious that these words were true. And I was buying every bit of it, hook, line, and sinker, and I'm like, this is it. This is the answer. This is everything. And when I reached the passage that used the word God, it blew my mind. I'm like, oh, I guess there is a God. And then part of me still wanted to not buy into it, so I used the hypothesis like, oh, well, this wasn't written in English. This has been translated, and maybe whoever did this translation took a little liberties, and maybe the Tao Te Ching does not include the word God. But it was kind of irrelevant that the word doesn't matter. It's the idea behind the word. And even, about 20 years ago, I had I had seen enough evidence that the idea behind the word it was more than a suspicion. It kind of, I guess you call that faith. On the one hand, because here I am sitting around thinking this stuff is gnosis, but not only can I not prove it to anyone else, I can't exactly prove it to myself either. So, there you have it. I like to tell myself that I know something exists, but speaking it out loud here, I guess it's just faith. So that's it. I'm gonna agree with Monsieur Pascal, and we'll go with that end of the wager, that we'll believe in God. All right. Already did the closing. Catch you next time.